Ayan was only 22 when life suddenly changed in a way he had never imagined. He was an ordinary young man from a small town, someone who believed that life would move slowly and simply. He had dreams, like everyone else his age. He wanted to study more, find a good job, and help his family. But he never thought marriage would come so soon, and definitely not in the way it finally came into his life. The morning it all began, he woke up thinking it was just another normal day. The sun was bright, the street outside was busy, and he expected his father to be reading the newspaper like always. But when he walked into the living room, he noticed a strange tension in the air. His father and mother were sitting quietly, their eyes avoiding his. Even his younger sister didn't speak, which was unusual because she always had something to complain about. Ayan felt a strange fear rise in his chest. He sat down slowly, waiting for someone to speak. Finally, his father cleared his throat and said in a tired voice, "Ayan, we need to talk about something important." Ayan nodded, though he could already sense it wasn't good news. His father continued, "Our situation, it's not good. The pressure from relatives, the things people say about us, the decisions we made in the past, they are catching up. We need a solution." Ayan didn't know what any of that meant. He looked at his mother, hoping she would explain, but she kept her eyes down. Then his father spoke the words that froze him in place. "We have decided that you will marry Shabana." Ayan blinked. He wondered if he had heard correctly. "Shabana?" he repeated quietly. He knew who she was. Everyone knew her. She was a woman in her early 50s, a quiet widow who lived a few streets away. She had lost her husband many years ago and had lived alone ever since. She was respected for her calm nature, but she never mixed much with the neighbors. Ayan had only seen her from a distance a few times. He felt the world shift under his feet. This couldn't be real. His voice trembled when he asked, "Why me? And why her?" His father sighed deeply. "Her family talked to us. She is alone, she needs support, and they are willing to help us in return. It's better for everyone." Ayan felt shocked, confused, and almost betrayed. He had never imagined marrying someone 30 years older than him. He didn't dislike Shabana, but the thought of such a match felt strange and heavy. He didn't know how to respond. His mother finally spoke, her voice soft. "It's a difficult situation, Ayan. Sometimes life gives us choices that are not easy. We believe this will be good for the family." Ayan looked around the room, but no one gave him comfort. He felt cornered, even though no one raised their voice. The pressure was heavy. He knew his father was struggling financially. He knew there were problems that the family had kept hidden from him. But was this really the solution? He went outside to clear his mind. As he walked through the narrow streets, his thoughts raced. His friends dreamed of romance, of choosing their partner, of building a future with someone they loved. But he was being asked to marry a woman who was old enough to be his mother. It wasn't her fault. She had her own challenges. But the situation felt unfair. Still, he understood his family's reality. They didn't have many choices, and in a small town, society's pressure was strong. People talked, people judged, and his father couldn't handle more humiliation. Ayan realized that their request wasn't coming from cruelty. It came from desperation. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, wondering how his life would look after this. Would he ever be happy? Would he ever feel understood? Would people laugh behind his back? The questions kept coming, each one making him more restless. The next morning, his father asked again, "Have you thought about it, Ayan?" Ayan looked at his parents' tired faces. They were worried. They were aging. They needed relief. He didn't want to hurt them. With a heavy heart, he nodded slowly. "If this is what you want, I will do it." He didn't feel brave. He didn't feel sure, but he felt responsible. The news spread through the town quickly. Some people whispered that it was unusual. Others said it was practical. A few even made jokes, but Ayan ignored them. He focused on keeping himself calm. The first time he faced Shabana directly was a day he knew he would remember for the rest of his life. His family took him to her home to finalize everything. She welcomed them politely. When Ayan entered, he noticed the house was clean, simple, and quiet. Too quiet. It felt like a place where time had stopped. Then Shabana walked into the room. She wore a light-colored dress, her hair neatly tied, her face calm and gentle. She looked at Ayan briefly, and he saw kindness in her eyes, not authority or pride. She didn't smile fully, but her expression held a soft respect. When the elders let the two of them talk alone, neither knew what to say at first. Ayan felt awkward. Shabana sensed his discomfort and spoke in a low, steady voice. "I know this is not easy for you," she said. "I didn't ask for this either. Life has brought us here. I only want peace in this home. I will not force anything on you." Her honesty surprised him. He expected someone older to speak with a strict tone, but she spoke like someone who had lived through pain and understood the value of patience. Ayan nodded slowly. "I will try my best," he said, not knowing what else to say. The wedding came sooner than he expected. It was a small ceremony with close relatives. Ayan wore a simple outfit, and his heart beat fast through the entire event. Shabana looked graceful, not trying to look younger, not pretending to be something she wasn't. She carried herself with quiet dignity, and Ayan noticed that too. As they sat together during the ceremony, Ayan felt the weight of everyone's expectations on his shoulders. He wondered how life would be now, whether he would find comfort in this new world or feel trapped forever. But he kept reminding himself that he had chosen this for his family. After the wedding, Ayan moved into Shabana's home. It wasn't far from his parents' house, but it felt like a completely different world. The furniture was old but polished, the curtains neatly arranged, and everything was placed with care. He could tell Shabana had kept the home tidy for years, even with no one else living with her. That first night, silence filled the house. Ayan sat in the living room while Shabana prepared tea. When she placed the cup in front of him, she said softly, "You don't have to feel pressured here. Take your time. I understand your situation." Her gentle words touched him in a way he didn't expect. She wasn't trying to control him. She wasn't trying to act superior. She was simply being respectful. As Ayan lay in bed later that night, he felt confused. The marriage still felt unreal, but he also felt a strange sense of calm. At least she wasn't someone who wanted to dominate him. Maybe things wouldn't be as terrible as he feared. Maybe, just maybe, this journey would lead somewhere he couldn't see yet. Outside, the night was quiet, and inside, Ayan's mind slowly settled. Life had forced him into a path he never imagined, but he didn't know that this very path would soon show him sides of life he had never understood before. He closed his eyes, not knowing what the future held, but hoping he had the strength to face whatever came next. Ayan woke up the next morning feeling like he was living in someone else's life. The room was not his, the bed was not his, and even the soft sound of the fan spinning above him felt unfamiliar. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered. He was now married, and this was his new home. The thought made his chest feel heavy, but he took a deep breath and slowly sat up. When he stepped out of the room, he found the house quiet as always. The hallway smelled faintly of fresh tea. Shabana was in the kitchen, her movements slow and steady. She noticed him standing there and gave a gentle nod. "Breakfast is ready," she said in her calm voice. "You can eat whenever you're comfortable." Ayan nodded back, unsure how to reply. He sat at the table. There was warm bread, an omelet, and a cup of tea waiting for him. Nothing fancy, but everything prepared with care. He looked at it for a moment, feeling a strange mix of gratitude and awkwardness. No one had ever served him breakfast like this before. At home, he used to eat with his parents and siblings in a noisy setting. Here, everything was quiet. Shabana didn't sit with him. Instead, she stayed in the kitchen, giving him space. It was as if she understood he needed time to adjust. Ayan appreciated that, though he didn't say it out loud. After breakfast, he went outside to walk around. He saw neighbors watching him from a distance. Some of them whispered among themselves. Some pretended not to notice him. Ayan felt their eyes and their silent questions. He kept his head down and kept walking. He didn't want to deal with their curiosity. When he returned home, Shabana was sweeping the yard. She looked up, gave a small smile, and continued her work. Ayan felt a little embarrassed standing there without helping, so he asked, "Do you want me to do that?" She shook her head gently. "No, it's all right. You can rest. You must be tired from yesterday." Ayan didn't know how to respond. He wasn't tired physically, but mentally he felt exhausted. Everything in his life had changed so quickly. He went inside and sat on a chair, watching the sunlight fall across the floor. The house was simple but clean. Ayan could see that Shabana lived a quiet, disciplined life. Days passed slowly. At first, there was very little conversation between them. They both walked around each other carefully, like two people learning a new rhythm. Ayan didn't know what to expect. He had heard stories of older spouses being controlling or strict, but Shabana was nothing like that. She never raised her voice, never demanded anything, and never made him feel trapped. She treated him with respect, which made him feel calmer. One evening, Ayan was sitting on the balcony, lost in his thoughts, when Shabana came and sat at a distance. She didn't interrupt him. After a few minutes, she asked softly, "Are you settling in well? If there's anything you need, you can tell me." Ayan looked at her. Her face had the kind of calmness only people who have seen many difficult years carry. "I'm trying," he said honestly. "It's all new to me." She nodded. "It's new to me as well. Life doesn't always go the way we think it will, but maybe, in time, things will become easier for both of us." Her words surprised him. He hadn't thought about how she must feel. Marrying someone so much younger, facing people's judgment, dealing with loneliness all over again in a new form. For the first time, he saw her as someone who was struggling too, not just someone he had married. From that day, their conversations slowly started to become more natural. They talked about small things at first: the weather, the neighborhood, his plans for work. Shabana listened carefully whenever he spoke. She never interrupted, never dismissed his worries. Instead, she offered calm advice. One afternoon, she asked him, "Do you want to continue your education or find a job first?" Her tone was thoughtful, not demanding. Ayan blinked in surprise. I thought you might want me to just help around here." She shook her head. "Your life shouldn't stop because you married me. You're young. You should grow, learn, and build something for yourself." Her words touched him more than he expected. No one had ever encouraged him like that before. His parents loved him, but they always spoke with stress or fear about the future. Shabana spoke with quiet hope, as if she believed he could actually do something good with his life. Ayan started studying again in the evenings, and Shabana would bring him tea without disturbing him. When he needed silence, she would keep the house peaceful. When he needed to talk, she listened. Slowly, Ayan began to feel a sense of comfort in her presence. Not in a romantic way, not yet, but in a human way, like having someone who cared without expecting anything in return. As weeks went by, Ayan saw how Shabana lived. She woke up early, did all the housework herself, never complained, and always stayed polite. She didn't gossip with neighbors or brag about anything. Her life was simple and disciplined. One day, Ayan asked her, Why don't you rest? You do everything yourself." She gave a small smile. "I've lived alone for so long that I got used to doing everything. But if you want to help, you can." Ayan nodded and helped her hang the laundry outside. They worked in silence, but the silence felt comfortable, not awkward. For the first time since the marriage, Ayan felt like he was part of the home, not a visitor. Another day, it started raining heavily. Ayan rushed to bring the clothes inside, and Shabana came to help him. For a moment, they laughed together as the wind blew water on them. It was a small moment, but it made Ayan feel light. Something inside him softened. The woman he had feared marrying was not frightening at all. She was kind, gentle, and understanding. One evening, Ayan came home looking disappointed. He had gone out to ask about job opportunities, but people had treated him strangely. Some even made comments about his marriage. He returned home with a heavy heart. Shabana noticed it immediately. "You look upset," she said. "Did something happen?" Ayan hesitated, then told her everything. He didn't expect her to react much, but she listened carefully, then said calmly, "People talk about everything in this world. If you let their words stop you, you will lose your path. You are stronger than that." Ayan looked at her, surprised again. "How do you stay so calm?" he asked. She smiled gently. "Because life has taught me that peace comes from inside, not from what people say." Her words stayed with him. Something changed in him that day. He realized that Shabana was not just older, she was wiser. She had faced life alone for so many years and still remained gentle. Ayan slowly began to admire her strength. As they spent more time together, he noticed other things too. She remembered small details about him. She prepared his favorite meals occasionally. She reminded him to take care of his health. She wasn't doing any of this to control him. She genuinely cared. Ayan's heart softened more with every passing day. He didn't feel pressured or uncomfortable anymore. He felt like he was beginning to understand the real Shabana, the woman behind the silence. She was someone who had lived through sadness but still believed in kindness. In return, Ayan brought something new into Shabana's life too. He brought energy, life, and the presence of someone who actually spoke to her. For years her home had been quiet. Now there was someone walking around, asking questions, sharing thoughts. Ayan gave her company she hadn't had in a long time. The connection between them slowly grew, not forced, not rushed, but gently and naturally. It wasn't based on age. It wasn't based on expectations. It was based on understanding. And without realizing it, Ayan started smiling more. Shabana noticed it, but never mentioned it. She simply allowed things to grow at their own pace. Neither of them knew it yet, but this slow, gentle bond was going to change their lives in ways they never expected. As months passed, something inside Ayan began to change. When he had first entered Shabana's home, everything felt strange, heavy, and uncomfortable. But now, the same walls felt familiar, the same rooms felt warm, and the same silence felt peaceful instead of lonely. He didn't know when it happened, but slowly, he had stopped feeling like a guest. He had started feeling like he truly lived there. Every morning began with gentle routines. Ayan would wake up early and help Shabana with small tasks. Sometimes he would sweep the yard, sometimes water the plants, and sometimes help bring groceries from the nearby shop. These were simple things, yet they built a sense of togetherness between them, something he never expected. Shabana remained the same calm, soft-spoken woman she had always been. But Ayan began to notice little details about her that he had never paid attention to before. She hummed quietly when she cooked. She liked keeping her house organized. She had a habit of sitting near the window in the evening, sipping tea while watching the sunset. Her life was slow and peaceful, and without realizing it, Ayan started to enjoy that peace too. One evening, Ayan sat with his study book spread in front of him. He had decided to apply for a better job, something that required him to pass a written test. Books and notes were scattered everywhere, and his frustration was growing because he couldn't make sense of a particular topic. Shabana noticed him struggling. "Do you want me to make tea?" she asked softly. Ayan shook his head. "No, it's okay. I just can't understand this." Shabana walked closer, sat near the edge of the table, and said, "Sometimes reading with a calm mind helps. Take a break for a few minutes." Her voice was gentle, and even though she didn't explain the topic, her presence alone calmed him. He closed the book, took a deep breath, and let his mind relax. After a few minutes, he opened the book again, and suddenly the words made more sense. He looked at her with a small smile and said, "I think I get it now." She smiled back. "See? You just needed a moment." Moments like these built a small but strong bond between them. They didn't rush into anything. They didn't force conversations. But every day, their understanding grew naturally. One afternoon, Ayan returned from a small job interview. He wasn't expecting much, but the interview went better than he imagined. When he came home, he saw Shabana arranging some vegetables in the kitchen. "How did it go?" she asked, without turning around. Ayan felt a spark of excitement. "It went well. They said they might call me next week." Shabana looked up with genuine happiness in her eyes. "That's wonderful. I knew you would do well." Her words felt like a warm hand on his heart. It wasn't loud encouragement. It wasn't dramatic. But it was sincere, and sincerity was something Ayan had always valued. That evening, they sat outside together. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink. Ayan talked about the interview, his hopes, and his worries. Shabana listened patiently, nodding at the right moments, giving small bits of advice when needed. She talked about her own younger days, too, sharing stories she had never told before, how she once dreamed of traveling, how she missed her parents, how she found strength in simple things. Ayan realized he had never really thought about her life before. She wasn't just a much older woman he had married. She was a person with dreams, fears, and memories, and somehow, knowing her story made her presence feel even more meaningful. A week later, Ayan received the call he had been waiting for. He got the job. It wasn't a big position, but it was stable, and it was a step forward for him. When he told Shabana, she smiled so warmly that Ayan felt proud, not just for himself, but for her too. "That's wonderful, Ayan," she said. "You deserve this chance." He felt a strange happiness bloom inside. Her happiness mattered to him now. As Ayan began working, his routine changed. He left home in the morning and returned in the afternoon. Shabana would have lunch ready, and they would eat together. During meals, they talked about simple things happening in the neighborhood, his work, her day. These conversations started feeling like the heart of the home. One day, while they were eating, Ayan said, "You know, people at work ask me about my life. They are curious. I don't tell them everything, though." Shabana looked at him calmly. "You don't have to explain your life to anyone. Everyone's path is different." Ayan nodded. Her words made sense. People always had opinions, but he didn't want their opinions to affect him anymore. What mattered was that he felt peaceful here. Slowly, the town's whispers also began to change. People noticed how respectfully Ayan treated Shabana. They saw the honesty in their bond. They saw that Ayan was working hard and Shabana was living a peaceful life again. Some neighbors even started greeting Ayan more warmly. The same people who once whispered behind his back now looked at him with surprise and even respect. Ayan's family also noticed the change. When his mother visited, she looked around the home and said, Ayan, you look happier now. He didn't deny it. He didn't even try to hide it. It's different from what I imagined, he said, but it's not bad. His mother nodded with relief. She had always worried whether her decision had ruined his life, but seeing him comfortable eased her heart. One evening, Ayan came home tired from work. He sat in the living room and closed his eyes for a moment. Shabana noticed his exhaustion and placed a glass of water in front of him. "You look tired," she said. "Did something happen?" Ayan sighed. "Nothing big. Just a long day." Shabana sat across from him. "You should take care of yourself. Work is important, but your health matters too." Her concern wasn't loud or emotional, but it was genuine. Ayan felt something shift inside him. He realized that he looked forward to coming home because he knew she would be there, not waiting like a duty-bound wife, but waiting like someone who actually cared. Their bond continued to grow quietly. Ayan helped her more around the house now. He insisted on it. He didn't want her to handle everything alone. Sometimes they cooked together, sometimes they cleaned together, and sometimes they simply sat in silence, enjoying the peacefulness around them. One night, while they were arranging dishes after dinner, Ayan suddenly said, "You know, I used to think this marriage would ruin my life." Shabana paused but didn't look hurt. She simply waited. "But now," Ayan continued, "I think I was wrong. You've made things much easier than I expected. Thank you for that." Shabana smiled softly. "Life surprises us. Sometimes the things we fear the most turn out to be the things we needed." Ayan nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep inside. Little by little, their lives blended. Not because of pressure, not because of society, not because of expectations, but because they grew to respect each other, trust each other, and care for each other. Ayan didn't know what the future held. He didn't know how far this bond would grow. But for the first time since his marriage, he felt sure about one thing. He wasn't alone. He wasn't trapped. He wasn't unhappy. He was walking on a new path, one built with understanding, patience, and a quiet companionship that no one had expected. And this was only the beginning of what would become the most surprising chapter of his life. Ayan did not realize how much his life had changed until one quiet morning when he stepped outside and saw the soft light of dawn spreading across the sky. For the first time in years, he felt a kind of peace inside him that he had never known before. Life had forced him into a marriage he didn't choose, a life he didn't expect, but now he could finally see that every step had brought him to a place he needed to reach. His bond with Shabana was no longer something unusual or strange. It had become the most important relationship in his life. The distance that once separated them, the difference in their ages, their experiences, their worlds, slowly faded away. What grew between them was not based on what the world thought, but on what they understood about each other. The real turning point came on a day that began like any other. Ayan had just returned from work, tired but content, expecting to find Shabana in the kitchen preparing tea. Instead, he found her sitting quietly on the chair in the living room, her hands pressed against her forehead. She looked pale. Ayan rushed to her. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice full of worry. Shabana raised her head slowly and tried to smile. "It's nothing," she whispered. "Just a little weakness." But her voice didn't sound normal. Her eyes looked tired. Something was wrong. Ayan's heart tightened. He knelt beside her and said firmly, "We're going to the clinic right now." Shabana shook her head. "No, no. I just need some rest. I don't want to trouble you." Ayan felt a sudden wave of emotion. This woman had cared for him without asking anything in return. Now, when she needed care, she hesitated to ask for help. "You're not troubling me," he said softly. "Please, let me take care of you." Shabana looked at him silently for a moment. His voice carried sincerity she couldn't ignore. Finally, she nodded. At the clinic, the doctor checked her carefully. It wasn't anything serious, just fatigue, low blood pressure, and stress. But hearing the doctor say that Shabana needed rest and proper care made Ayan realize how much he had taken her quiet strength for granted. She always worked hard, never complained, and always put his comfort before her own. On the way home, he walked beside her slowly, making sure she didn't feel tired. When they reached the house, he helped her sit, gave her water, and brought her a blanket. She watched him with eyes full of gratitude. "You don't have to worry so much," she said gently. "I will worry," he replied, "because you have always worried about me. Now it's my turn." She lowered her eyes, touched by his words. That night, Ayan cooked food for the first time in the house. It wasn't perfect, and the roti was not round, but Shabana smiled as she watched him trying. She ate quietly, and after a while she said, "You're learning fast." Ayan laughed. "Don't laugh at my cooking." "I'm not laughing," she said softly. "I'm happy." Her happiness warmed his heart more than he expected. He realized that her smiles mattered to him, her comfort mattered, her presence mattered. This was no longer just a marriage of responsibility. It had become something deeper. In the days that followed, Ayan took extra care of her. He didn't let her do heavy work. He made sure she ate on time. He even adjusted his work schedule so he could spend more time at home. Shabana tried to stop him, but he didn't listen. "You have done enough for me," he said one evening. "Let me do something for you." Shabana looked at him for a long moment. In her eyes, he saw something he had never seen before. Trust. A kind of trust that grows slowly, quietly, over time. Things continued like this for weeks. Shabana's health improved, but Ayan didn't change his ways. He still helped her, still cared for her, still paid attention to every small detail. Their days flowed smoothly, each one wrapping them a little closer together. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the sky change colors, Shabana spoke in a thoughtful tone. "Ayan," she said, "when this marriage was decided, I was afraid. I didn't know if you would be happy. I worried every day about how your life would turn out because of this." Ayan turned to her, surprised. "You were afraid?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. I never wanted to be a burden. I didn't know if you would ever accept this life." Ayan felt a tightness in his chest. He had always thought of his own struggles, but never her fears. "You're not a burden," he said firmly. "You never were, and I never felt unhappy because of you. You gave me peace when I needed it the most." Shabana looked at him, her eyes soft and emotional. "And you gave me companionship after years of loneliness." Ayan felt the truth of her words deeply. For the first time in his life, he realized how much she needed someone too, how long she had lived with silence as her only friend. He reached out and gently touched her hand. She didn't pull away. After that moment, something new settled between them, something unspoken but powerful. They didn't rush anything. They didn't change their routines suddenly. But there was a new closeness, a new comfort, a new understanding. People in the town also noticed their bond. The same neighbors who once whispered now spoke with respect. Some even said things like, "Ayan has brought life back into her home," or "Their bond is unusual but beautiful." The talk no longer bothered Ayan. He knew what he felt, and he knew how much this relationship meant. The biggest surprise came months later. Ayan received a promotion at work. It wasn't huge, but it was a meaningful step forward. When he brought home the letter, Shabana's eyes filled with pride. "You worked hard for this," she said. "We both did," Ayan replied. "You supported me every day. This is yours too." She didn't say anything, but the way her eyes softened was enough. To celebrate, Ayan bought a small cake and invited his parents to dinner. His family noticed instantly how well he had settled in. His mother later whispered to him, "You look more mature now, more grounded." Ayan smiled. "I've learned a lot in this home." When everyone left, Ayan sat beside Shabana. She was tired but happy. He looked at her and said quietly, "Thank you for everything." Shabana shook her head. "No, Ayan. Thank you. You gave me companionship again. I never thought life would give me a second chance." Ayan held her hand gently. "Maybe this was the path meant for both of us." And for the first time, Shabana didn't hide her tears. They were not tears of sadness. They were tears of gratitude, of healing, of finding peace again after a long and difficult journey. Ayan felt his own heart swell. He realized something very clearly that night. He cared for her deeply. Age was just a number now. What they shared was something more meaningful than most people ever experience. Life had brought them together in a strange way, but what grew between them was real. Ayan looked at her and said softly, "No one expected it. But I'm glad this happened. I wouldn't change it." Shabana squeezed his hand gently, and in that simple gesture, years of loneliness were replaced with comfort. They sat together quietly, watching the stars appear in the night sky, knowing that their story, unexpected, unusual, and powerful, was something they both would cherish for the rest of their lives. The boy who was forced into an unexpected marriage had found something he never dreamed of: peace, respect, companionship, and a bond stronger than anyone could imagine. Their story didn't just end here, it began here.